So I get asked this question a lot, okay? People ask me almost on the daily, yo Juan, which iPhone has the best cameras? First off, tough question. Why would you try someone like that so suddenly? But two, everyone has different tastes and uses for cameras, man. But there are also people who love the smaller new SE. An amazing phone, by the way, that I cannot say enough good things about. I reviewed it earlier. You know what to do. Click the card at the top right if you haven't seen it. But today, we're going to take a look at cameras. So I think this is my first ever camera test video, if I'm not mistaken. So this will kind of be a pilot episode for future ones. So definitely drop suggestions on what you want to see in a future camera test. But yeah, we got the big dogs of the 2020 Apple iPhone line. You guessed it. We got the Rey Mysterio of the group. Small but mighty. You already know what it is. We got the iPhone SE with that single camera setup. Then we got the bigger 11. Boring name, I know. It's like, oh, which iPhone you got, bro? Oh, the 11? Oh, just the 11? Yeah, bro. Just the 11. Like, I don't know, but do not discredit the power of the middle ground. The iPhone 11 with the dual camera setup should be the sweet spot for the majority of consumers. And then we got the mighty iPhone 11 Pro Max with that triple camera setup. So we'll look at features of each device, specs, photography, and also do some video work. So get ready. This is going to be a good one. Grab some snacks, grab a drink, and get ready. But before we do, I would like to invite everyone to participate in my AirPods 2 40,000 subscriber giveaway. There are 2 chances to win, and all you have to do is watch until the end of the video to find out how you could be the lucky winner. Alright, this is already a super long intro. Let's just roll into it. So let's be clear and honest here. There is no denying that Apple has come such a far way in terms of iPhone photography. From humble beginnings with that miserable potato on the original iPhone 2G, to not being able to record video until I believe the iPhone 3GS, I know, crazy, to now this spectacular triple camera setup. If you truly believe Apple's iPhones don't take decent photography, then you're a straight up hater. Listen, it's not the best, but there's a reason so many people pick up the iPhone versus the competition. A lot of the time it's because of those cameras, and of course those cameras can be subjective. I just happen to like the iPhone cameras, but I know that Samsung phones and some Google phones take amazing photography. I do want to make future photography video comparisons on those later on. So let's start with comparing and contrasting the actual hardware of each of these 3 phones so we have a better knowledge and understanding of how these cameras work, and also to discuss terms like what the crap aperture means on a lens. So we'll start with the easiest, which is the iPhone SE, mainly because there's not much going on here. All 3 phones are going to sport that True Tone flash with slow sync, but it is brighter on the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro if that means anything to you. So there's that difference already. The iPhone SE is going to sport a single 12 megapixel wide camera lens with an f1.8 aperture. This wide lens is also carried over and is found on the 11 and 11 Pro. The more expensive phones begin to serve more purposes and become way more versatile with the use of different lenses. I do photography on the side both as a hobby and as a profession, and as my fellow photographers know, owning different lenses sharpens you up to be a better photographer because there is just a lens for different situations. Sometimes you want to capture spectacular scenery and need to go wide, but maybe other times you want to get up close and personal on like a ladybug or something and capture a photograph of that. This is where the 11 comes in clutch and adds a second ultra wide lens with an f2.4 aperture. This lens is so useful. I use it all the time. You'd especially love it if you are the outdoorsy type to catch those breathtaking scenes. But the 11 Pro one-ups even the 11 and adds a third lens, that being a telephoto lens, used for close-up macro photography or for portraits, and it has an f2.0 aperture. So it goes without saying that the iPhone 11 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro Max, which both sport the exact same triple camera setup by the way, is the go-to in terms of versatility and choices, but it is also followed by a steeper price tag. And what does aperture mean any damn way? We hear this word being thrown around all the time at the Apple keynotes and presentations, but even I didn't know exactly what this meant until years later. Basically, the aperture describes the hole within the optics of the lens that allows light to pass through. A higher aperture means less light is entering the camera. This isn't always a bad thing though. This is advantageous, say if you want everything in your subject to be in focus and as clear as possible. A lower aperture means more light is entering the camera, which is way better for scenarios when you don't have much light. I'd say of the two, I'd prefer to have more light enter my lens, that way even dark photos come out looking somewhat decent and don't look like a dark mess. So while I go into some of the features, I'll provide some shots I took on each to compare and contrast. From the looks of it, the f1.8 wide lens found on all three does a terrific job in most situations. However, the 11 and 11 Pro kick it up a notch thanks to that new night mode. It really ups your camera game, but I'll talk more about that later. I made this handy chart for a quick look at just about every feature available on every iPhone's camera. You'll begin to see that even though the camera on the SE is great, it's missing out on a good bit of features that you only get if you pony up more cash. It's almost like a setup, you feel me? But something I definitely want to highlight is the 10 times digital zoom on the 11 Pro Max and night mode, because night mode really changes up the game. So yeah, the SE only has a 5 times digital zoom, which is pretty boring if you ask me. But then again, it does have that singular lens, so I guess I'll cut it some slack. The regular 11 also does with the 5 times digital zoom, which by the way is all handled by the software. It being a digital zoom essentially means it is the software doing all the legwork, not the actual physical lens, hence the name digital zoom. But because the 11 has that extra ultra wide sensor, the 11 also has a 2 times optical zoom out in case you need to quickly zoom out to fit your entire subject in the picture. This is way more useful than you think, as sometimes you have fractions of seconds to take that shot and you just won't have enough time to physically move your person to get that wider shot. That's when the optical zoom out really comes in handy. But the iPhone 11 Pro Max, being the show off it tends to be, one ups the 11 yet again by adding a 2 times optical zoom in, as well as the aforementioned 2 times optical zoom out, but also does better on the digital zoom, going up to 10 times. But honestly, at that point, zooming in that much just ends up looking like a huge blob of nothingness and looks really pixelated. And then there's night mode, and let me tell you, this is where the more expensive iPhones shine. The difference is literally staggering. When Apple first showcased the night mode feature on stage, I honestly thought it was a big flex. Like on the presentation, sure it looked amazing, but I thought, this feature can't be that good. But it is. I think it's honestly a deal breaker. I'm a huge night owl, so I'm always up late, and if you know anything about how time works, there's not much sunlight late at night. Take a look at some of these pictures comparing outdoor environments with poor lighting and also indoor scenarios with poor lighting, and the difference is night and day. Get it? The night mode works exceptionally well, but the only caveat is normally when taking long exposed shots like what the iPhone is essentially doing is that you'll want to stay as still as possible, otherwise you'll start to get really blurry images. The iPhone's lens can only push so far because of hardware limitations. Obviously, a nice and bulky DSLR camera or even mirrorless will provide crisper and more authentic results with much longer shutter speeds. But even then, the 11 and 11 Pro do provide decent results with their night mode capabilities. There's other features the 11 Pro and 11 have that the SE doesn't. For example, you get a brighter true tone flash on the 11 and 11 Pros and also get auto adjustments on your images thanks to that software. Now let's discuss the front facing camera. So this is where the disparity in pricing starts to become much more noticeable. The cheaper SE sports only a 7 megapixel FaceTime HD camera, while the 11 and 11 Pro have 12 megapixel true depth sensors. This takes your selfie game to a whole new level, but just beware, that pimple on the tip of your nose is going to be much more noticeable on the true depth 12 megapixel sensors. Alright ladies and gentlemen, so I'm out here on my infamous porch where a lot of my B-rolls come from just because the lighting out here is just so good. But what I'm trying to do right now is just move around a lot and see if the exposures are changing. But with all this moving around, I mean, all three iPhones seem to catch up pretty nice, and I mean, I think the video runs fine, but I guess we'll see when I'm editing if I can notice any bigger differences. You also miss out on a butt ton of video recording features that makes the SE a snooze fest in comparison to its pricier counterparts. Let's not forget that Animoji and Memoji are only available on the 11 and 11 Pro. So if that's a deal breaker for you, I'm sorry, but you might have to keep saving and adding more chump change to that piggy bank so you can get your hands on either the 11 or 11 Pro. The SE gets a full 3X's from me, while the 11 and 11 Pro's front-facing cameras get a solid 2 thumbs up from me. Oh, but we at least do have portrait mode with advanced bokeh effects on the SE. So you know what? I'll give the SE 2 X's instead of 3. How's about that? I'll take one back. Over on the video recording department, we get more or less the same features on all 3 devices. Really, what it comes down to for video recording is just finding which lens is more suitable for whatever it is that you're trying to film. Again, the obvious fact of having more lenses creates a more versatile arsenal for shooting film. As a photographer on the side, this is super important since sometimes you want more of a macro shot and maybe others you'll want to go real wide. Also keep in consideration the different apertures for the different lenses. They are different and it may screw with your recording. Here, let me explain. While filming, like I mentioned before, you can get that 2x optical zoom in or out on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, for example. Slow-mo videos for up to 240 FPS. Yes, you heard me right. 240 looks super dope. Check it out right here in slow-mo. Amazing, right? That 4K 60 FPS mode is also super crisp, and honestly, the iPhone's cameras could very well rival some beginner to intermediate DSLRs. But aside from the actual physical lenses, not much changes. All 3 can record 4K at 24, 30, or up to 60 FPS. Optical image stabilization for video is present on all 3. The zooming is similar to photos, except the digital zoom isn't as mighty, going only to a 3x digital zoom on the SE and 11, and up to a 6x digital zoom on the 11 Pro line. The 11 and 11 Pro do have audio zoom, which is supposed to isolate and kind of localize whatever your subject is saying, or if it's something else, like, I don't know, something that's not a human, the software will reject most of the background noise. At least that's supposedly what it's supposed to do. I was a little skeptical at first, I'm not gonna lie, but here, let's try it out with my HomePod and see what all the hype is about. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so I am standing right here, right next to my MacBook. I have one of my videos playing. You can kind of hear that there. But let's test out the audio zoom. Now, this is the SE and it does not feature that audio zoom. So there's my HomePod playing, and let's see if we can notice any differences in sound.
Too harsh on this thing, so let's see if this unboxing changes my mind a little, because there are a decent amount of great improvements from opening it up.
Alright, now here we're using my iPhone 11 Pro Max, still same distance away from my MacBook playing my video, and now let's zoom in and see if we hear any differences. So now,
so no crazy cutting tools this time around, sadly. Again, be very careful when doing this, but open up the box.
Did you guys hear any differences?
With a box within a
Let me know.
That
so I know you guys are wondering, which iPhone is the one to get if I'm serious about taking photos on my iPhone? The answer is really simple. It's the iPhone 11 Pro Max, hands down, without a doubt. Not only do you get all of the best features, but it's the physical hardware that will help you out tremendously. The fact that you can so easily switch between lenses and you never have to physically move for your shots is something I know I take for granted. My iPhone 11 Pro Max has just spoiled me so much that when I try and shoot on the SE, it's like, huh? What's going on here? That's not to say the 11 or SE cameras are bad. As a matter of fact, that single wide lens found on all the 3 iPhones gets the job done for about 70% of most scenarios. I kid you not. It's so versatile, and with the help of the software, pictures always come out nice and crisp. But it truly boils down to whether you want to cough up more dough for better photography. I for one think the 11 is the sweet spot in terms of photography on iPhones in 2020, since it has 2 very versatile lenses, and the 11 has most of all the banging new features that set it apart from the cheaper iPhone SE. But for $400, you simply can't deny that the SE is a steal and one of the best values in tech at the moment. So if you do opt for the SE, you'll be pleasantly surprised at just how great that single camera really is. Well guys, that's been it for me, and I did promise an AirPods 2 giveaway, so listen up. There's 2 chances to win 2 brand new pairs of AirPods 2, and to enter it is extremely simple. Just head over to my Twitter, follow me there, and retweet my pinned tweet, and that is 1 entry right there. For the other entry, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram and go tag 3 friends in my most recent post. And that's all you gotta do. The giveaway ends on August 26th, and I'll choose 1 winner winner for Twitter and 1 winner for Instagram, and this is definitely international. So good luck to everyone. But I do want to know what you guys think though. Did you see many differences between the 3 iPhones? What iPhone do you have? And do you find it useful to have 3 or 2 lenses on your iPhone if you have the 11 or 11 Pro? Or do you think you can easily scrape by with just one single lens? Make sure to ring that bell with notifications since my 50,000 subscriber giveaway is just around the corner and I have huge, and I mean huge, prizes planned for you guys. I really hope everyone is staying safe as the world is slowly recovering from the pandemic. But until next time guys, I can't wait to catch you all in my next video. Peace.